Hi, my name is Narcy, and today I'm going to talk about the Families First Coronavirus Response Act. The Families First Coronavirus Response Act, also known as the FFCRA, reimburses businesses with tax credits for the costs of paying employees while they're on leave. There are two parts under the FFCRA: the Emergency Paid Sick Leave Act, the EPSLA, and the Emergency Family and Medical Leave Expansion Act, the EFMLEA. Any small business, private nonprofit organization, and 501c19 veteran organization with less than 500 employees are eligible to apply for tax credits. Some small businesses with fewer than 50 employees may be exempt from providing paid leave under the EFMLEA, which is the Emergency Family and Medical Leave Expansion Act, if the leave requirement would jeopardize the business. Under the FFCRA, employees are eligible to earn 2 weeks, which is up to 80 hours of paid sick leave at their regular rate of pay where they are unable to work because they are quarantined and or experiencing COVID-19 symptoms and seeking a medical diagnosis. Or 2 weeks, which is up to 80 hours of paid sick leave at 2/3 the employee's regular rate of pay because the employee is unable to work because of a need to care for an individual subject to quarantine or care for a child which is under the age of 18 whose school or childcare provider is closed or unavailable. Furthermore, employees are able to get up to an additional 10 weeks of paid expanded family and medical leave at 2/3 the employee's regular rate of pay, where an employee who has been employed for at least 30 calendar days is unable to work due to a need to leave to care for a child whose school or childcare provider is closed or unavailable for reasons related to COVID-19. An employee qualifies for paid sick time if the employee is unable to work or telework because of, number 1, they're subject to a quarantine or isolation order related to COVID-19. Number 2, they've been advised by a healthcare provider to self-quarantine related to COVID-19. Number 3, they're experiencing COVID-19 symptoms and seeking a medical diagnosis. Number 4, they're caring for an individual subject to an order described in number 1 or self-quarantine as described in number 2. Number 5, they're caring for a child whose school or place of care is closed or child care provider is unavailable for reasons related to COVID-19. Number 6, they're experiencing any other substantially similar condition specified by the Secretary of Health and Human Services. If the employee is leaving for reasons 1 through 4 in number 6, then if they are a full-time employee, they would get leave for 80 hours, and if they are part-time, they would get leave for the number of hours of leave that they would work over an average 2-week period. If the employee is leaving for reason number 5, then if they are full-time, they would receive up to 12 weeks of leave at 40 hours a week, and if they are part-time, they would receive the number of hours that they normally work over that period. For payment calculations for employees, for reasons 1 through 3, the employee would be paid the regular rate or applicable minimum wage, whichever one is higher, up to $511 per day and $5,110 over a 2-week period. For reasons 4 or 6, the employee would be paid at 2/3 of the regular rate or 2/3 of the applicable minimum wage, whichever one is higher, up to $200 per day and up to $2,000 over a 2-week period. For leave reason number 5, the employee would be paid at 2/3 of the regular rate or 2/3 of the applicable minimum wage, whichever one is higher, up to $200 per day and $12,000 over a 12-week period. The requirements to apply for tax credits are that you must have documentation to show how the employer determined the amount of paid sick leave and expanded family and medical leave paid to employees that are eligible for the credit, including records of work, telework, paid sick leave, and expanded family and medical leave, as well as documentation to show how the employer determined the amount of qualified health plan expenses that the employer allocated to wages. In addition, you should have copies of any completed IRS Forms 7200 that the employer submitted to the IRS and copies of the completed IRS Forms 941 that the employer submitted to the IRS, or for employers that use third-party payers to meet their employment tax obligations, records of information provided to the third-party payer regarding the employer's entitlement to the credit claimed on the IRS Form 941. Employers are advised to maintain those records for 4 years. Thank you for watching my video. If you have any questions or comments, don't hesitate to reach out to me at covidbusinessrelief@gmail.com.